Hello, everybody, on your broadcast day. It is I, Jay, with Phrasing with Jay. That's a lot of J's, but it's not just me. I'm here with my good pal, Micah Orsie from Crashable Studios, one of the developers on Wildwood Down, a excellent video game that I'm not just saying that because I'm a part of it. I legitimately think it's fucking dope. I like the idea of it, and we're going to get into it, in a little bit. Micah, how are you, my friend?
Hey Jay, what's going on, homie?
What's going on, homie? Boy, oh howdy, do I miss the American accent. God damn, man. Okay,
Uh,
I before we get into Wildwood Down, I have a couple of questions for you, and I hope you don't mind answering them.
Go for it.
Okay,
I'd love to.
I'm happy to hear that. That's why you're here. Har har. Har har
That's
har
right. Right.
har.
Hardy hard.
Okay, the first question is Crashable Studios. All right?
Yep,
Where did the name come from? Because I was
that's
curious
right.
about this from the very beginning. I'm like, why is it Crashable Studios? It's a cool sounding name.
That's great. Okay, so this was 2015, a while ago. Me and my brother Luke, we kind of had our little apartment and we were working on our first game. And our friends always came over and kind of just could crash on the couch and like sleep over. And it was like a place that our buddies could come and crash when they were going through stuff or, getting in fights with their girlfriends, wives. And so we always had like a friend or two over and our place was like the place to crash. So I was like, this is our game studio. We're making a game in here. So Crashable Studios. And that was how the gist of it.
Dude, I really like that. That's an
So we're sitting on
awesome
our computers.
backstory. No, that's an
Yeah,
awesome
it actually had,
backstory,
yeah, it's a
man.
good question. Yeah.
Yeah, there's real history to that. I mean, Jesus Christ, anybody who knows you in your personal life can look at Crashable Studios and go, "Oh yeah, okay,
Yeah, exactly.
2015, yeah." I slept on
Right, exactly.
I
Me and
slept on
Luke
Micah's
being,
couch with my fucking bitch and I were
yeah,
having
staying up
problems.
all night on
Woo!
our computers. Exactly. Like, what are these kids doing? Yeah.
You know what? It's one of those things where now that I have the backstory on Crashable Studios, I gotta ask, what got you to decide to go into video game development? Because it's no easy task. It's a very, very difficult task. It's a very all-consuming style of work that you're involving yourself in. You're making fun out of thin air.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's hard. There's a lot, but I like that it has everything in it. Like there's like storytelling, there's music, there's like gameplay, so it's fun for the person playing it. There's characters, there's different, like it has kind of, I love art. I love like music and art and paintings and things. And I feel like video games have like all the stuff all in one thing in one game. It's like, so it's kind of like you get to express a whole thing and like an experience and people can play through it. So I've always loved that aspect of it enough to struggle to make one.
I
So
mean,
it's kind of a driving force, I guess, that I just am like an artist at heart, I think.
oh no, that's exactly what it sounds like. Because if you love
Yeah,
art and music and you love storytelling and all these different elements, I mean, any other medium just would be not exactly satisfying for you because video
yeah, exactly.
games
Yeah,
it takes everything. It takes storytelling, visual direction, cinematics. It takes gameplay. It engages people in just a unique
yeah,
way that only video games can. I mean,
yeah, exactly. Or
dude,
it's like even a movie's cool, and I would maybe be into like like making a movie is like the same, like the storytelling aspect and everything is cool, but a video game has the like you're making choices as the player, and that's just a whole nother layer to it all, which is cool.
that really does change things
It's like,
because
yeah,
if you
yeah,
look at movies, right? You watch them. You just simply sit back and you digest it. When it's a
right,
video game, you're active, like the gamer, the player. They're the one actively making the decisions,
yeah,
leading the narrative and
yeah,
leading the story.
exactly. It
It's a
engages
totally
your
different
mind.
experience.
It's just,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. It's just something about it. It's cool.
it's a
And
totally different
obviously,
experience.
the other version is like, yeah, I just grew up playing video games and I love them, you know.
See, I knew we were
So
gonna get onto this topic pretty quickly, which is a question that I did have written down, but I also had it memorized. I when I first auditioned for Wildwood Down, the one
Yeah.
thing I noticed was like I was going, that's a fucking point and click adventure game. I'm
Yeah.
getting thrown back to the days of Indiana Jones and Day of the Tentacle and Maniac
Yeah.
Mansion and Full
Yeah.
Throttle and Flight of
Exactly.
the Amazon Queen and
Yeah.
all these games that nobody
Yeah.
knows about unless they're probably in their 30s. But
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. So a cool thing, like those name drops, Day of the Tentacle, Full Throttle, the guy behind those, Tim Schafer.
mhm,
It was cool. We got to be a part of like this game dev thing and like hang out with him. We were just chilling with him like on the beach and like talking to him about video games and stuff. That was like a dream come true for us. But it was for this game. But so it was called Day of the Devs. It's an event they do. But it was really cool just hanging with that guy that made all those games like for us, I was like, and his daughter played our demo, so it was like this full circle. Like, this is crazy. Tim Schafer's daughter is like playing our point and click adventure game. It
but
was
that's
surreal.
incredible. But that's
Yeah, yeah, it
incredible. It
was
really
super
is.
surreal. Yeah,
Yeah,
that was
man. I
cool.
mean, Tim Schafer is responsible for so much of
Oh,
my
yeah,
childhood,
Double
your
Fine Studio.
childhood.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, millions of
Crazy.
us.
This is like, yeah, it was like one of those moments. Like, is this real? It's just funny.
I mean, that's definitely a bucket list item.
Yeah, it
100%
was
it is,
cool.
dude.
It was
Oh my
cool.
God. Just to be able to know that Tim Schafer, to be able to say, Tim Schafer's daughter played my demo. Like,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, exactly. Like
that's
Sam,
awesome.
just like laughing with, yeah, it's crazy.
So, what got you guys to decide on a point and click adventure game? Because this isn't the first game you've developed. You've obviously developed
That's
other
right.
ones.
That's
What
right.
made you go in that direction and settle on point and click? Because it's very
It's
retro in a way.
yeah, it's kind of like, I mean, obviously the same layer of like we grew up playing them, we loved them, but I think it is like the storytelling aspect of it, and like I like designing puzzles because I personally like those type of games, and it's just a chill environment. You just get to experience the world, see the scenes, and it's not as much like action based like running, which is cool. I mean, I play first person shooters and stuff too. Don't get me wrong, I've spent many hours playing all different games, but creating I think it's the story layer of point and clicks that I love. Like, you get to like spend time with the characters and stuff in a certain way that in other games it's just as different. I think I love that element to it.
Oh
So
no,
there's a
I
lot
get
of
that.
reasons, but yeah.
No, I
Growing
totally
up,
get
we
that.
were so cool little, like, I have four brothers, so there's five of us, five boys.
Wow.
But growing up, we would be like, my oldest brother would be playing a point and click adventure game, and we'd all be watching him. And it was kind of like trying to figure out the puzzle. And we're all just like, what do you do? Like, we're just stuck on this part. Like, there has to be an answer. And it was just fun. Like, all of us around to come, and he's like clicking stuff. It's like, no, do this, try that. And it was just this cool, like, thing that was a good memory of like different games, like Full Throttle and stuff like that, and all five of us participating in one person, playing like just a point and click adventure. So that's like a good memory of my
I mean,
that I love these games.
so in a way, you're kind of paying homage to your own childhood and your own good, positive memories you have from these
Right,
point and click adventure games you played when you were
right,
growing up.
absolutely.
There's a lot of heart and soul that's coming
Yeah,
into Wildwood Down. 100%, man. I really feel that. And when I was looking at the art and I was looking at the description of what Wildwood Down was, now I won't say anything about it. That's up to you to decide. But I felt exactly that. I felt like this came from before I met you, obviously. I went, this is definitely something personal to these people. There's no way it's not. This isn't just some game
yeah,
that people are
right.
developing for because they want to experiment or they want to try. This is something that these people clearly love. And it was based
Yeah,
on the characters, it was even in the lines. And I went, yeah, I knew that if I was able to be a part of this game, that I was going to be
we wanted to do it. Yeah,
yeah, I was super motivated. Why do you think I
yeah.
auditioned for everything?
Cool.
I like
Yeah, I love that.
people don't know this, but okay, when I was auditioning for Wildwood Down, I auditioned I think for every single male role available because I had to be a part of this game
That's great.
somehow.
I love that.
I will tell you
But you know
though.
that helped me pick you, in a way because it was like, well, this dude like he did good on every part. It was like maybe him, like you were like shortlisted on every part. So I was like it's like he's well versed. He knows how like even if he gets the character, like we could work on the character, and
Mhm.
I think he could like figure it out because you had such a versatility in that.
Well, I
Like it,
appreciate
it
that.
actually, it did like sway me like choosing to cast.
Aha. Well, for all the
So
actors out there and the voice actors
yeah,
who may be
so
listening, never
something to
stop
think about.
auditioning. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah,
Something to think
exactly.
about. So, like,
Yeah,
here's the thing. Okay. What were some of your favorite games growing up that isn't related to Wildwood Down? We'll get into that in a second.
yeah.
Because I'm curious about this. You're a gamer,
Yeah, I
clearly.
mean,
So I want to know.
yeah. I mean, dude, I played so many freaking games. It's like growing up, we played a lot of Counter Strike for online stuff.
Oh my God, Counter
Counter
Strike.
Strike, the Half Life mods,
Mob
even it was like
disarmed.
DoD, Half Life Action Half Life, which is weird. But yeah, like, and then we had Halo 2, Halo 3, all these like Call of Duties, all the first person shooters. We all played them online and stuff,
Of course.
all like computer games. But then, you have the point clicks, RPGs. I mean, I just played like a lot of games. I just
Was
always enjoyed gaming.
I remember for me, you sound like your selection of video games was kind of like mine when I was growing up. I remember going to the mall and there was a Funko Land and then eventually it became a
Yeah,
GameStop.
Funko Land.
Yeah,
That's
like this
crazy.
is this
What a
is
name
years
drop.
ago. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
That's crazy.
And I remember
Oh,
going into these stores, and I would always take, when I was younger, my dad, the poor bastard, he would just stand there for at least an hour when I was looking at all the games and just trying to figure out which one I could get because he told me I did enough work, so I earned enough money through him. I was doing chores for him. He
yeah.
said, "Okay, you earned enough this much money. Go pick a game." And the poor guy would be just checking his watch, like, "Okay, hey, we gotta go, we gotta go. 1 minute, Dad. 1 minute, Abba."
Yeah, you're sweating it like I can't mess this up.
Oh, dude, I
This
couldn't.
game has to be the best.
Oh, dude,
Yeah,
I
reading the back
remember
of all the stuff.
exactly. You would look at the back, you'd look at the cover art, you'd read every
Yeah,
single detail of these
yeah,
things because they were so important, especially back then. Young people,
that's
you have
great.
no idea how good you have it now. You have no clue.
Yeah, seriously, I know it's
Refunds were
crazy.
very different. But it sounds like it was a healthy video game diet. The plate was very
Yeah,
full.
yeah. I mean, Four Brothers was part of. Kudos to my parents. I think it was funny. I watched a like Christmas home video of us like opening presents on Christmas recently, and
Hmm.
it was funny because each one of us got like a different. We it was our like we got PlayStation 2 this Christmas, and each one of us got a video game, and it was interesting how the genre of the game was like actually what we were into as like different. Like I got an RPG and I was more into those. Luke got like a action game that was like so calm something, and then Sai got like some first person shooter. So it was just interesting. I was like, that's crazy. Like our parents knew us that like these were the game. I thought it was cool. I was like, damn, my parents were like on point.
But that
Somehow
is
they loved
cool.
us enough to know which genre of game we would
Yeah.
like. They weren't just like, let's just get some games, whatever, like our kids, whatever. It was
Oh
interesting.
man.
I thought it was kind of cool. I was like, dang.
That is really cool, man.
Yeah.
Kudos to
Yeah,
your parents. Shout
yeah,
out to mom and
exactly.
dad right
Yeah. I
there.
know.
Hell yeah.
Seriously. I was like,
They had
yeah. It's like
they
they crushed it.
they had 5 kids. You have to like people, you got to consider this. I mean, 5 kids, 5 boys, and the parents knew what genres their kids were getting into. I mean, those are just those are good
Yeah,
parents.
like
I
a video.
mean,
Yeah, it's crazy.
you got to know your kid in order to shop for the right genre
Right.
of video game
Right.
that he likes. I mean,
Yeah.
Jesus Christ, man. Those are good parents right there, buddy.
Yeah.
Holy
See.
shit. That's fucking incredible. Oh,
Yeah.
you said something a second ago. It just hit my brain. SOCOM. I remember playing
Yeah.
SOCOM. It was on PlayStation or PlayStation 2. I can't remember
Yeah.
which.
Exactly. That's what I was trying to remember.
I remember using the taser and if you hit an enemy with the taser
That's funny.
and
Yeah. Uh-huh.
you left it connected to the guy long enough, he would eventually light on fire. And I remember
Yeah,
just
that's
doing
right.
this.
Yeah, exactly. That's so funny.
I would do it constantly.
You just
I would
leave it
just
running.
yeah, you just leave it running. The guy would burst into flames, and I don't know why. I mean, Jesus,
That's awesome.
I guess it's nice to know we're both completely sociopathic when it comes to video games. But
Right. Yeah.
I lit
It's like,
a shitload of
make them
goons.
on fire.
I lit shitloads of goons on fire, and I had no shame whatsoever. I thought it was the funniest thing in
That's
the
great.
world, dude.
Yeah.
Oh my god,
Good
that's
stuff.
amazing. No, man, I'm really happy to have you here because I get to kind of pick the brain and get a deeper insight into video game development. And I do want to shift focus over to Wildwood Down because how did you come up with the not necessarily the story, but the backdrop, the background,
Yeah.
like the
Yeah.
establishing surrounding stuff?
So Wildwood is a place in New Jersey. It's like a boardwalk, beach, vacation resort thing that people
Okay.
go to. It's in New Jersey. So Wildwood, New Jersey, they have a big boardwalks, like all these stores on the beach, and you walk down the boardwalk, and it's like this fun. There's an amusement park, there's a water park, but the beach is there, and it's just a good time. So we went with my friends and our main character Daniel, which we'll get into, but
Oh yes, we will.
we went with our friends on like this little like summer trip. Well, I mean, it was probably like 2001 or something. Uh, to Wildwood, like let's just go here, have a fun beach weekend thing. We rented an Airbnb and we had Dan with us. Um, and it happened to be senior week when we went. We didn't know. So we got there and it's kind of sprawl. Senior week is all the high schoolers graduate. They're the seniors graduating
Oh
and
god,
they
a
all
bunch of
go for a
maniacs.
week to party at Wildwood. So we get there and it's like all these like kind of teeny bopper 18-year olds like just trying to hook up and walking around. It's just fun. You see all the little cliques and they're like drinking beers, hiding from the cops and stuff, and just so it's just this funny like whole scenario of like, and everything we did, it was just like these funny interactions with these kids and things and stuff we saw happening. And my wife wants credit for it, so I'm going to give it to her. But she's like, I swear, I'm the one that said this would be. It felt like we were in a real point and click adventure game, and so it's spanned from her saying that we were like, it really does. Like these interactions are like these like you felt like it was like these NPC interactions. It was so like nuanced and like classic and things that were happening. And so it was like this. It was like we're in a real life point and click. It was like this kid is giving us all this information like it felt like he was giving us information like in a game. He was like, this kid's hanging on a pipe. We were trying to go underneath this bridge out to the beach at night. And he was like, the beaches are closed. The cops took all our beer and all this stuff. Like he's like giving this whole backstory. And we're like, who are like what are you doing, dude? And
Wait a
so
minute.
that it was like this kid is like it felt like this point and click adventure like kid that you would like talk to in a game. So he is in our game, which is
I was just
funny.
about I was not gonna mention it unless you mentioned it. Mike,
Yeah.
that
Right.
was real.
Yeah,
That was
so
a
that
real
was real.
person.
Yeah, exactly, which is
Oh
so
my
funny.
god, that's
So
amazing.
in the auditions, one of the characters, if you remember, was
I
Pipe Kid.
do. I do
So that
remember that.
was
I was wondering about
yeah,
that. I remember looking through the auditions and I came across that character and I went, okay, that's an interesting choice. Like kid on a
yes,
pipe, like just
Pipe Kid. He's
hanging.
just hanging off
Just
a
pipe. He's
pipe.
just chilling. I'm
he's,
like, all right,
he's
cool.
always
That's
hanging on a pipe, talking and
yeah.
doing something.
I
Yeah,
don't know. I got to tell you, I think that
Uh,
is one of the most original characters I've ever heard of or I've ever seen because I've never seen that anywhere else. I've never
that's
seen a
fun.
character just hanging legitimately from a
Yeah, that's
pipe
like some
and he's
reason
giving
that's his thing.
dialogue. Yeah, that's his
Yeah,
thing.
exactly.
Can I ask?
Uh,
Can I ask about the Crab King? Where the
the
hell?
crab king. The crab king. I mean, that was he was just a I like his character a lot.
I
He's one
do
of my
too.
favorites in the game. And he has like a whole turn of character. He like has like a lot of character growth in the game and stuff happens with him. It just came out of there's like an underground wrestling underneath the boardwalk where all the teens hang out in the game. And he's like this old former wrestler that I just developed him, but he's the old former wrestler that lost, and he thinks the winner cheated, and it threw his life into a spiral.
Oh
So it's
my
like he like gave up on life and was like, "I'm just gonna lay under the boardwalk and die." But the crabs fed him, and they kept him alive. And then he kind of turned into like essentially like a rat, like a
God.
like a rat king like thing, but it's like a crab king is
I
like
was
the
just thinking
where he's
that.
like
I was just
yeah,
thinking about it. Oh
at
my
the beach.
God.
So it's like this
I I
like a
I
rat.
am I fully love the Crab King now, even more than I did before. It's just an
Yeah,
old
it's just
washed
a
up
crazy
wrestler.
like Zen. Yeah,
And he was fed by the crabs. Come
yeah, it's
here.
kept
I will
alive.
give you sustenance. That's
Yeah,
amazing.
crazy.
Okay.
Yeah,
So we can go on about characters all day, and I don't want to give away
yeah,
too many things. I want you to kind of dictate where you
yeah,
want
yeah,
what
yeah.
you want out there. So I will do my best to not reveal anything that isn't already publicly seen on the casting call page.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, sure, yeah.
that's kind of where I'll keep things. But so it comes from so Wildwood's a real place. I had no idea. I
Right.
just thought it was a
Yep.
fictional creation. I had no idea that
Yeah,
this was a
wow.
real place
Yeah.
where people got to go and hang out, and there was it was kind of like slash amusement park type of deal, and then there's a boardwalk, and then there's a hangout place where you got. I can imagine a bunch of teenagers just getting drunk, trying to hide it from the police when they're running around smoking weed. I mean, that's just oh
Yeah,
teenagers,
exactly.
what it is to be
Yeah,
young. How funny.
exactly. Yeah, it's so funny.
I
So
mean,
yeah, that's yeah,
it's one of those deals where I just gotta ask. Okay, so once you got the backdrop established. Shout out to the wife, by the way, for
yeah.
even
See, yeah,
yeah. Shout out to the wife because she
yeah,
definitely spurred it into your guys' minds. Because if she's out there going, this is like a point and click adventure. This could be a game.
yeah,
I
yeah.
mean
Exactly. It's like
that'll absolutely
living in a
ignite the
real
spark.
life point click.
Yeah,
Yeah,
man,
yeah,
that's fucking
100%.
awesome, dude. That's
Yeah,
awesome. So once you established that you guys were gonna do Wildwood, New Jersey, how did you
yeah,
guys start formatting the story? Because obviously I only know so much. I only know basic
yeah.
outlines. But how did you guys
Right.
go about developing the story? Because point and click adventure games is it's like a movie except you control it.
Yeah, yeah. Which so I'll go into the main character because obviously we're skirting it, but that needs to be landed. Is
Let's
that
let's
Daniel?
let's talk
So
about Daniel. Daniel's the main
so it was kind
character
of like,
of
yeah,
Wildwood
this
Down.
is super cool, and this is like a point click. And like I was saying, we went on the trip. Dan was with us there, so that's like an added element of fun. But so Daniel is my friend that I grew up with since we were like little kids. I don't know, kindergarten kind of age.
Wow.
And so I grew up and my parents became friends with his mom. So Daniel has Down syndrome. So he always came over our house and would just hang out. My parents were friends with his mom from church, and they would come over and Daniel would come, Dan and his brother, and they would hang out with us all the time, like over weekends. And we started babysitting. And then it became this thing that like in the summer he would come and just stay all summer with us, and it would give his mom a break. And so he's like my brother, basically. Us.
Yeah.
So we have five, my parents have five boys, and then you add like Dan and his brother, and so it was like all, our crew was like that. And so I
That's
just
a
grew up with
mob.
him. So we love each other. Yeah, exactly. So he's just my great friend, and we hang out and have a good time. He still does it now. Like in the summer, he lives in Washington State.
Okay.
He flies over for the summer. So June, July, August, he'll stay at my house, at me and my wife's house,
I mean,
and
that's
we have him
awesome,
for the
dude.
summer and hang with him and do just fun stuff and whatever we get into. Like this time, we went to Wildwood with him,
Sure.
so we're just like at the beach chilling. And so Daniel's just a great guy, and he has Down syndrome, and he's amazing to hang out with, and it's just it's never a dull time.
I don't
So
think I don't think Down syndrome would necessarily stop anybody from still being the person that they are. I don't think it.
right,
I don't think. I
right,
think if I think it may he may have some challenges clearly, but it obviously isn't anything that stops him from living a full quality
Right.
life, which is great to
Yeah,
hear,
absolutely.
especially
Right.
someone who you love as a person. I mean, you've just I'll say it like this. I I don't I don't have any childhood friends that I still keep in contact with. I mean, that's just kind of an incredible thing to think about in itself. I mean, you've had a friend since your earliest memories of childhood that you still see in your adult life. I mean, that's
Yeah.
incredible. I don't think there's
Yeah.
many people out there who have those, dude. You're a lucky guy.
That's cool. Yeah.
So,
That's a good point. So
how
yeah,
did Daniel become the lead in the game?
because we're at Wildwood and Daniel's there, and my wife was like, "This is like a point and click adventure," and then you have Daniel. I was like, Dan needs to be the main character if we make a point and click. It's like he could do the voice acting, he could play himself, and it's like he already like fits in the whole scenario, and he's almost like a teen sneaking around drinking beers, hiding from the cops in his mind. So it's like, dude, you're fit to be here.
He was, you know
Uh,
what? He was perfect. He was perfect for the role. Who better to play
Yeah,
Daniel than
exactly. Yeah,
himself?
exactly. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. It was like literally like you're the guy. And it was, we knew it would be fun doing it with him. So
Oh, of
recording the
course,
lines,
man.
writing it all. And it mixed in with the whole like the game, there's all these little lines and nuances and things that are just funny to us because it's like a memory or something that really happened, or there's all these inside jokes and things. Like it's funny, but if you know, it's really funny.
I remember when we were doing
So
the line recording. Can we bring up the diapers thing? Can we?
yeah. Yeah, for sure.
All right. Tell me about the diapers thing again, because the
So
when we
so
originally talked about it, it was off air.
Yeah, so it's like Zoltar is like the guy in the box you put a quarter in and it gives you
Zoltar.
your fortune. Yeah, and so we changed the name to Moltar. I don't know, just because we did, and that's who Jay is playing in the game. So he's Moltar, and
Motar.
so so Daniel puts a quarter in the box basically to get you can do it in the game. You put a quarter in to get your fortune read, and Moltar reads it and he says, how the heck does it land? I'm trying to remember the line. It says, dude, it's something about getting older, and
It was something about getting
where
older,
I'm
and
trying to
then
remember the joke.
yeah,
At some point in your life later on, you're gonna have to wear, and then it like leaves a space.
yeah.
So somehow it lands. The joke is that you have to say diapers
I
is like the
rem
gist of it.
what I remember in at this point in time, the
I mean,
Maltar character was in animatronic,
right, exactly. Yeah. So
and
yeah.
he was doing the someday in the future you will wear diapers. Just
Exactly.
it was this long drawn out
Yeah, it's
prophesizing
like this whole
harbinger of
thing. Yeah, it's
doom.
like just to land on diapers.
Oh, I love it. I love it. And so
Yeah, and then Dan is like, "What?" Like
I
kick
love it,
back.
man.
Like,
I
yeah,
cannot wait to hear Dan's reaction
yeah.
when the finished game is out, because if
Right,
anybody thinks I'm
exactly.
not playing the shit out of this game, you're absolutely wrong. I'm playing the fuck out of this game. I'm
So good.
unlocking everything. I have to. I have to. And it's not just because I'm in it. I would have I
Yeah,
just based on what it looked like. I was wanting that game to get done anyway because I'm going, I want to fucking play it. I just wanted to
yeah,
play it because I looked at it, I
yeah,
went, damn, that's a throwback. That's a throwback to a simpler time in life, and oh yeah, I gotta
yeah,
fucking play it. But
yeah.
since we are talking about game development, something I do have to ask is, game development is difficult, and what what would be one of the biggest challenges that you and your team have faced while developing Wildwood Down?
What haven't we faced? Uh, I think like,
I mean, would it be
dude, I don't
something in
know.
puzzle
Just it's
creation? Would it be in
Yeah,
writing?
no, I think I like all the art thing, puzzle creation, all the stuff. I think the hardest thing for us is like the scripting things to make, like you're testing, like to make a script work. Like I want this nuanced thing when you click that this happens and that happens, and then it's only when you're hovering over that kind of like a nuanced script that really needs to like do something weird. That's where we get like it's like just testing it all day. Like, dude, like this thing is not working. I just cannot get it to work, and you're changing little things, trying to code, basically like coding.
Yeah.
It's like I'm an artist, I'm not like a coder. It's like I don't have like a code. So that's probably like the for me like I'm just losing my mind trying to make this thing work.
Was that
But
I mean, obviously you're an artist, but I mean, when it went from transitioning your skill set in art into game development, which is coding, which is a completely different skill
yeah,
set. I mean,
absolutely,
how much of a
absolutely.
challenge was it to transition and learn these things?
Uh it's tough, man. I mean, it's like a language, you kind of feel like you're
Obviously.
learning a language. So the more you just are like, I don't get it, I don't get it, I don't get it, I don't get it, and you beat your head against the wall, eventually you're like, okay, I know what it's saying, kind of.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's like, oh, I actually understand what I'm reading now when I'm looking at this code. I know why it's doing what it's doing. So it's kind of just like just freaking trying to figure it out for hours
Oh,
until you just like understand what you're reading.
this
It's like you're
sounds like
learning a
one of those.
language. You're like, oh, it's starting to like I actually how do I actually know what that's saying? That's weird,
Of
just
course, man. Of
because you've like,
course.
just approached it so much.
This sounds like one of the things where you're looking at the program and you're trying to make it work, and it's hours of this isn't working, that didn't work,
Yeah,
that didn't work.
yeah,
Damn it, I need more coffee. Okay, that didn't work.
exactly.
Phone rings, and you're like,
Yeah,
not now.
exactly.
I'm trying to
A
figure out
lot of
this little thing.
coffee.
Oh,
Yeah,
dude.
exactly. You're like, you don't understand. It's been 3 days and it's almost working.
Oh man,
So,
I I I understand from a different type of experience because I was a part of a game called Perdition Wakes. Shout out to my guy
okay.
Scott Craighead. Shout out to you, buddy. Much love to you. And the amount of times he and I had to go into a live voiceover session just because something didn't sound right was intense enough as it is. Having to
Yeah,
develop it and code it out of thin air. I mean, Jesus Christ. And
yeah,
you're going into it obviously having experience because you developed other games, but it's one of
yeah,
those things
yeah.
where you're going, this is still new territory, I think. I
There's
think
always
every
some,
day.
yeah, and that's almost, yeah, you almost do it on purpose, and then you're like, why did I do this? Because you want to make
Oh.
something interesting, you want to make it cool, you want to have like an edge to it, so it's like you kind of have to push it to be something unique. You don't want to just do the same thing that is like the ground
So
level thing.
I totally get that. So what
Yeah,
made you
yeah.
guys go for the art style that you ended up choosing? Because
Yeah,
you,
we flipped on that. Originally, it was just going to be 2D. Luke had worked like he did like two backgrounds on it, and we were just messing around in Unity, and we loved the look of like it ended up being the 2D, 3D, 2.5D if
2.5,
you want to be
yeah.
technical. But yeah, but it's pixel art, like characters and some of the elements in the scenes is pixel art, and then it's 3D and it has 3D lighting. And we found the thing that really sold us was the character, the very outside of the character, the very edge pixel of the character, we could make the light just hit the edge, so it brightens and gives like a rim light to like a sprite, and that's what really sold us, to give it that look of like it's in the scene and it's feels like it belongs there, and it has that cool like you walk by a light and the rim light on the pixel art like shines across it. And rather than just making the whole sprite glow,
Mm-hmm.
it like gives it that 3D, like it's like hitting the character and throwing a shadow. And I think that was the thing. I was like, okay, we could do that, and then it started opening the door of like, and then puzzles can be cool because we're in a 3D space, and it hasn't really been done in a point and click yet. There's like Octopath Traveler was kind of the first RPG that was like a major like that 2.5D like AAA game doing that, and they had that like the rim light on their pixel arts and stuff. It's just a technical thing, but it looks super cool. If you don't know why it looks cool, it's because of that a lot of times.
But I mean,
Um,
that's important though. I mean,
yeah, yeah, it's just something about the that it has that layer of like that looks so interesting and cool to look at. So it opened up like now we have this 3D camera as well, so I can tell the story and it feel like a movie because the camera can zoom in,
Hmm.
it can flip to the side, it can pan and like half zoom, and it can have different apertures because you see the scene like like a fisheye lens and different things for different feels, and so it really got kind of like a cinematic. It opened like a cinematic door for the game that I was really like, that's like definitely let's freaking do that. So
I was just about to mention something similar to that because when I saw the art in the audition, I was really wondering how it was kind of made. It's good that you talked about. It's good that you mentioned that it was made in Unity. That answered one of the other
yeah,
questions I had for you.
yes,
So,
right,
but that does make sense because I was wondering why the pixel art looked so three dimensional. I was
yeah,
wondering why it had more depth than other point and
yeah.
click
So
adventure
super
games I
interesting,
had
and
played.
exactly, and then you also have that the depth of field is on the camera because it's a 3D space. So it's literally like your character's in focus and the killer is blurry behind him and his eyes are glowing, and you can have it like pull focus to him. You know what I mean? Like, so you
Yeah,
have all that, which is so cool. Like, and it's pixel art though, so it's just super cool.
it's just
It's
one
like
of those things
interesting.
where
It's
oh
interesting to
dude,
like just watch and see. Yeah.
it's
So
one of those
it's
things
like
where I go, "Oh my god." Now that I have a deeper understanding of it, the fact that the game is not just going to be what I originally thought, it was going to be just a 2.5 dimension style game, but the fact that you're going to be able to pull the camera and move it, and it sounds like
yeah,
the
exactly.
puzzles are going to
Yeah.
be a lot
Yeah, they
different than
like
what I
play with
initially.
those
Yeah.
elements. Yeah. So it's kind of just it gives you like a new creative, different view of even point and clicks and stuff. It's like cool to add a layer to like something new, something
Well, it
fun,
definitely
interesting.
changes how I look at point and click adventure games because most point
Yeah.
and clicks, they're 2D, they're pixel art,
Right.
and it's flat.
Right.
Nothing
Yeah.
against them. It's very
Yeah.
flat. It has
Yeah.
a certain the older ones obviously depending on what style they did. It was flat and it had a certain amount of colors and they stayed to that scheme and they didn't really move the camera much outside of
Yeah. Right.
camera
There's like,
panning.
yeah, exactly. There's parallax, like you can go
Mm-hmm.
like side scroll, which was an interesting, like in the demo, you get onto the boardwalk, and a lot of people that played it, they just walked left and right. So I was like, oh damn, I need to be able to like they need to understand they can go forward at the
Right.
camera and the camera will go with them like you're in a 3D space. So I actually had to when you enter that scene every time the camera starts out wide, you see the whole boardwalk and it slowly goes into the character as you're playing. And so it gives and then it actually it was cool to see it actually like the psychology of it. People are like there's more to the scene and there's like a guy up there as the camera's panning, so they walk up to see him. So it was like cool that it works and seeing people play it now that I added that.
Mm-hmm.
It's like this intro to the game that they're like, okay, it's
Oh.
pixel art, but I'm in a 3D space. You like give them that layer. It's cool. It's
It
interesting to like.
it
That's why you
totally
test play and watch people play it, and you
of
have to get the
course.
like. I got to help them understand, and it's
Of
cool.
course.
Yeah. So
It totally changes the way that I initially perceived this game because what I'm looking at when I look at it now in my mind, obviously, I haven't played the demo. Um,
yeah,
it's going to be a lot more three-dimensional than I originally thought. I thought this was going to be more of a typical two-dimension style
right,
point and
right.
click
Like
adventure
it's
game.
too. Yeah, exactly. Like there is like a lot of layers of the 3D
But to know
where you're
that
walking forward and backward and through things, and
exactly. And to know
yeah,
that I'll be able to kind of orientate myself in more of a fully versed three dimension, it just makes the world feel more lived in. And the array of
yeah,
characters alone are ridiculous in a positive way. They're freaking awesome, man.
yeah,
They really
yeah.
are.
It's
I
as
mean,
zany as can be.
this
It's
kind of
great.
this
I
you know
love it.
what? A title is coming to my mind right now. I mean, Wildwood Dawn, not Dawn, Wildwood Down, fucking pardon
Uh-huh.
my faux pas. It's given me the like throwback memory of kind of what Curse of Monkey Island did. And
Mm. Yeah,
some of the 3D stylings they did. And I'm not saying the
yeah, yeah,
dialogue is similar or anything like that, but it gives me that
yeah, yeah, yeah.
same essence. And I don't think
Right,
that's a bad thing. I think that's a good thing
right.
because that's a stupidly stupidly well-known legendary series. And
Yeah. Yeah.
the fact that my brain immediately went to that game franchise in particular can only mean good things. And it's not just because
Yeah.
it's me. I
Yeah.
figure other people who are of a similar age who might have had experience playing this game would probably get the same, maybe the same notion. It's just one of
Yeah.
those things where I look at Wildwood Down and I go,
Yeah.
I have to play it. I have to play
It's
it.
cool.
I have to figure
Yeah.
out oh God, I'm trying my best not to reveal the stuff that I do know. I have to figure out what happens and why some of these elements that I remember from the
Some of
voiceover
those
session.
lines you're saying, like, how can this be a line in this game?
Oh, dude, there were some lines
Like,
in
what the
that.
hell's going on here?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I am very curious as to why certain
Uh,
things are going on. I mean,
that's funny.
oh, dude, it's one of those things where I go, this game at the end of it, video games are supposed to be fun. They're supposed to be
Yeah.
engaging, and everybody plays video games for different reasons. But at the end of it, everybody plays games to be entertained, to enjoy their time, whether they're coming off
Yeah.
work or whatever. And
Right.
that's what I see with this game. I see this game as genuinely fun, and that's
Yeah.
something that a lot of video games currently in the modern age of gaming have seemed to have kind of lost out on. A lot of them are just kind of cut, copy, paste.
Yeah. Just something. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I definitely agree. Like, I feel like it's like a feel good game too, just because like the main character Daniel and just the parts and the things. And by the end of the game, I feel like it's carries you just like a great feel good game that it's like you love what happened, you love how it played out and the different elements.
See,
I can't wait for people to play it.
see, that's
It's gonna
that's
be
the same
great.
feeling that I get from it. It's the same exact
Yeah,
feeling because
yeah,
as I talk to you about it, as I remember the voiceover and the auditioning process, and then the live voiceover, directed sessions, and all that kind of stuff, and reading the script, I'm going, this game is going to be fun. It's just going to be
yeah,
fun. The dialogue is quirky. It's charming. It's just
yeah. Exactly. Yeah,
it's just one
it's
of
kind
those
of what
things
I'm
to
going
where I
for.
just want to see it. I just want to see it.
Yeah,
I just want to
yeah,
experience it. Um, oh my God, I gotta
yeah.
stop myself.
But
I
yeah,
gotta stop
along with
myself.
this, just a side note of the 3D, that's like the other thing is we love pixel art, and my brother Luke is like the artist, so he does
Okay.
the
Shout out to
pixel
Lucas.
art and like the 3D modeling. He's in Blender. I'm like, dude, I do not want to open Blender. I'm gonna code the thing. I don't want to have to learn another program and model 3D models and do all this
Oh
and
my God.
skinning them. So he makes a model, unfolds it, and then draws pixel art on that, and then it wraps around the 3D thing, and then we drop it into Unity. So
Dude.
it's like we kind of, even with the texturing of the 3D models,
Mhm.
it's has a pixel art aspect because he's texturing them in pixel art, if that makes sense.
No, it does. It does.
Yeah,
It
so he's
does.
drawing on them at a low res on the texture of the 3D model so that it has that it's still like pixel shading and pixel like the feel and like cracks in the wall, they're like pixel even though it's a 3D building.
Oh, I like that a
So
lot.
that also helps to complement the design of the game and the characters in the 2.5D. But I love the pixel art we love, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
No, it's exactly what you were saying, and I fully got to agree because
Yeah, where
when
because you mentioned the Monkey Island went 3D and a lot of it was
yes,
kind of like, damn, dude, I liked when it was pixel art. So we're trying to keep the heart of that, like the feel of classic point and clicks that are pixel art. We want to keep the heart and feel of that,
oh, it's
even though
very
we're
much
going
there.
into 2.5D. Yeah,
Oh, it's there, man. You don't got to worry
yeah.
about that. And that is reflected
That
that
was
is
kind of like our
reflected just in the artwork that was on the casting call. Just in that
yeah,
casting call artwork alone, I can see that. I
yeah,
genuinely can. I could see an homage to a lot of the point and click adventure games of the past, and that's another reason why I felt that this was a game
yeah. That's
that was
cool.
being made by people who loved point and click adventure games. It wasn't just a point and click adventure game being made because somebody had a story to tell. It felt
Yeah,
very
yeah. It's
different.
like dark. Yeah,
Yeah, man. It felt very
it's
different.
cool. It's cool.
The one thing that I'm trying to resist talking about is fucking Moltar, because I don't want to get too much into it, but like there's lines in my mind right now that I'm
Yeah,
thinking of.
go ahead, man. I
Oh
don't
God.
care. You can just send it.
It's one of those things where I'm going, okay. I know Moltar
Yeah, I know.
was
I want you
a
to tell us.
yeah, I know Moltar was an offshoot of Zoltar. Okay, but
Yeah.
why in the initial character bio of Moltar, it was an Indian accent. But when I submitted my first batch of lines, Micah and I eventually got into a conversation, and we wanted to do them again and do a live voiceover directing session. And the weird thing about this is Moltar went from full Indian to a bizarre, very bizarre mixture of three different accents and fucking Count Chocula. And I'm just now that I got you here, I gotta ask, like, what what changed in that? What changed from the heavy leaning towards the Indian accent to where my take just kind of became what Maltar ended up being used?
Yeah. Yeah, because I think it was like we just needed this like evil presence, and like an Indian accent just didn't approach it right or didn't
Mm.
feel right. So we wanted it to have that like this certain like ugh, to everything he said, and when he's in the scene it has this like feel to it. So just working with you, I mean, I was amazed by what you pulled off when I was giving you examples of things.
Oh,
So
thank you.
I'm super, by the way, yeah, like dude, you killed it. And I
Thank you.
keep telling everybody like that guy was so, like better than what I was thinking when you did lines. I was kind of
Oh,
like, damn, like you did that so good. I'm so glad the lines are going into the game. I'm like stoked about it.
I was gonna
But
ask you about that. Real shit. I was going, did the lines that we did in the live voiceover directed session, did they fit to your mind?
absolutely. Yeah,
Okay,
I
good.
loved it, dude. I was so
Good.
stoked that we chose you to do this part. Like
Oh
once we
man.
did once we did the video thing, I didn't like close it and be like, damn, like now I'm stuck with that.
Ah. Well,
It wasn't bad at all. I was like, "Huh,"
no,
like,
I'm
yeah,
glad
so
to
you
hear that.
freaking crushed it. I'm so glad we did that.
Oh no, at the end of the
Yeah.
day, I'm just happy that you chose me for the game, because it was one of those things where I went, I gotta be a part of this game. I have to be. There's no way. I mean, good God, I even auditioned for the Randy Macho Man Savage
Yeah.
impersonator, which is something I have to ask you about. Okay. Why? Why Randy? Like, oh yeah, like why the Macho Man Randy Savage? Yeah,
So,
like where does
a
that come
part of
from?
it, half of the characters and different things, it's like because Daniel's the main character, and so he loves wrestling. And so it was like we needed there was a ticket guy that you have to enter into this wrestling contest. And we just had this standard like generic character in place. Like this guy gives you your ticket, you can see wrestling and you can join wrestling. But it was like, why is he so boring and dull? Like let's make him something. Let's make him a character that's interesting and funny to talk to, and just give him like it's already a zany, wild game. We could do anything. So Luke had Luke just drew him like in pixel art as a Randy Savage character, and it was just like, dude, that's so good. And and then another side to it was like sometimes Luke will call Daniel on the phone, and Luke talks like Randy Savage to Dan, but you feel like Dan. It's kind of like Dan really thinks he's talking to Randy Savage.
Oh, that's
So
hilarious. That's awesome.
it's just this whole funny back. That's what I mean with the like inside stories of stuff. And Daniel's like, "No, Randy, I never do that in my life." Like he's saying, like, "Dan, you can't steal your mom's money anymore." Like Randy Savage saying that to Dan on the phone.
It's like,
And so it's
whoa,
like,
Daniel, you gotta stop
yeah,
stealing your mom's money, bro.
yeah,
Save your money. Like,
yeah. Oh yeah, don't make me come down there. And Dan's like, "I never do that. I don't take her money."
I
Yeah, so
love that. I
it's just
love that.
it's crazy. Yeah.
Dude, but
So
that's
it's
the
just
thing. That's the thing, man. I love like getting to hear a little insight on how some of these kind of gimmicks and these characters are created, because I was wondering, like, okay, when I saw the Randy Macho Man ticket booth guy, I'm going that. I'm pretty sure someone's a wrestling fan. I'm 99% sure someone's a wrestling fan.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't just put
Yeah,
that in just for a joke. I mean, you could, but I'm
right.
going, this is a
Yeah,
little
but
too
there's
on the
like,
nose.
yeah, exactly.
Oh, I loved
So
it,
it's like,
man.
yeah,
Dude, oh, God, what was it? Okay, so when it came to developing Wildwood Down and the puzzles specifically, what were
uh-huh.
the challenges you had when you were designing these puzzles? Because I know you guys are still developing and working on the game actively. It's just, what were
Yeah,
some of the challenges you faced with it? Because you've always been a fan of puzzles and art and making these things. So you have the 2.5 three-dimension
yeah,
aspect to it. Did that change the way you approach puzzles and not just the logic on how to solve
yeah,
them?
yes. Some puzzles are more different because of the 2.5D, because the camera and where you go, and
Right.
you get stuck in a mirror maze at one point. So it's like you're actually
Oh, we
3D, like
talked
in
about
this
it.
mirror maze, and there's mirrors, and that's Moltar in the wall. So
Yeah.
that was a lot of fun with the 3D, because you're like going through this, like it's like the perspective of your camera, you're kind of like lost, and there's mirrors everywhere, and you see like, is that a way, is that a way, there's different parts and stuff. So that definitely, like that wouldn't feel the same at all if it was a flat 2D thing. It would just be like you would have to do a total different design where you're actually walking 3D through this maze.
Hmm.
And then there's a lot of different things like that, different parts that are cool, like little nuanced parts that are like more specifically just navigation on a in a puzzle way, which is fun. It was really fun. It opened up a lot of doors for the design, and
Oh, it had to have,
like,
man.
yeah, yeah, exactly. And it's kind of like just the exploration and the camera work and different things. It all adds to like what the player sees, what the player feels. So you can design a lot of things around that. Like, you're seeing this, but if you walk, the camera pans with you, then you see that. And then a part you're like looking through a camera. So the camera's actually like panning, and it's like
Ooh,
3D
I like
showing,
that.
and you're trying to like do this investigatory work. It's a murder mystery. We haven't said, it's like this murder happens, and Daniel's trying to solve the case, and he's trying to save his sister who's like captured by the killers. So he's trying to like figure it. So he gets into
Oh,
this
I remember
security
those
room. He's
lines.
like, yeah. So he's like trying to like, do this kind of like a Sherlock Holmes investigation stuff,
I
in
love
the
that
mix of
so
it all.
much. I love that so
And
much. It's
yeah,
amazing. There's so
yeah,
much. It's one of those things to where I go, you absolutely could have ran the risk of it turning into like a Scooby Doo type mystery. But it didn't feel that way. It really didn't. It felt that the tone was in between kind of this
yeah,
quirky comedic
yeah.
side, but then at the
It's
same
actually
point
serious. Yeah, exactly.
you could
Yeah.
feel the
Has that
gravity
zany.
that Daniel
Yeah.
is
You're like,
really
wait, like
trying to
someone
say
really
something.
died. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And
Yeah.
it brings a level of seriousness when I think about it, because I go, okay,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm going to be having fun playing this game, but at the end of the day, I'm motivated to
Right.
rescue my sibling and figure
Yeah.
out what this
Yeah.
murder
Exactly.
mystery
It's
is
like
all
these dudes
about.
are really evil. Yeah. Like they're really evil. They're not just like,
Oh, they're
you
evil as
know,
fuck.
yeah.
Oh God. Okay. Okay.
Like it's really,
I cannot reveal too much about this. All right,
yeah.
this is up for Micah too. But there have been
Uh,
some lines that I did reading as Moltar to where I said this to you. I went, dude, Moltar and other character are fucking evil. They're terrible, awful, asshole people. Like they're fucking
yeah.
mean, dude. Oh my God.
Yeah. It's that can't get
So
more petty.
oh, dude, oh my God, Maltar. I'm not gonna reveal it, but Maltar's logic on why he's doing all this in itself is the definition of pettiness. He's super fucking petty, man, and I love him. He's such a bastard. I can't.
Yeah.
There's no other way to describe it.
That's
Okay,
funny.
where now you guys had a choice when developing a point and click adventure game because and it pertains to voice acting itself because some point and click adventure games do not have voiceovers and that's a choice and it doesn't sometimes it affects things, sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah.
What made you guys? What made Crashable go in the direction of, okay, we gotta get voice actors for this. We want it to be voice acted, like everything.
Yeah, I mean, it really, I feel like a layer to it is just as a kid playing point and clicks, where it was like if I got one and it didn't have voice, I was so let down because I was like, dude, it's so funny, it's so good when it's just these like characters and like Monkey Island, different things, and
Sure.
it's like the characters, the voice, it breathes so much life into the game. I like, it's like, dude, I know text is cool, people read books and stuff, and that's great. The story, you can tell it, but there's something about like real life people becoming these characters like you that it just brings so much life into the project. It's like you can't. I don't. I love it. So it was like a non-negotiable. Besides the fact that Daniel was going to play his own voice, so it was like that's like Dan's got to do his voice in the game.
I guess
So
that did kind of make the
that gives it.
decision.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. You know what I mean? Like, but
absolutely.
besides that, even if it wasn't Dan, I would still feel the same. Like, it's just, I love it. It's like
It
you
would be
need, the
so
characters
hard to
need to have
cast
that.
Daniel.
No, yeah,
It
it's
would be.
impossible.
You
He's
couldn't.
like a real, it's just a true character.
I was
It's
just
like
about to say that
he's
Daniel
like a
seems like a
real,
character in himself. I mean, I don't think you could
yeah,
cast him out to anybody else.
yeah,
Daniel has to be
yeah,
Daniel. It's non-negotiable.
exactly.
Put it in his
Right,
contract.
exactly.
So like,
Exactly.
and
So
I
yeah,
have to agree
yeah, I
with
just
you on
love it,
that.
man. It's like it just gives the characters like a whole new dimension as well, where it's like they have that layer of like you feel how evil he is or how funny he is or how it's like it's a whole nother layer besides just the writing.
I absolutely agree with you on that because I think about point and click adventure games, and it's one in particular. I don't know if you played this one, but maybe you might have. It was a point and click adventure game called Simon the Sorcerer.
Uh-huh.
Okay, you played it.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
I think they're making a new one or something.
I think they have. I think there's two
There's something
now.
coming out.
There's two, I think. I know there's one.
Yeah.
There might be
No,
two. I don't
there's
remember.
definitely two. There's some weird one. There's something they're making new though that isn't out yet with it.
It better be the same voice actor. It better be the same
Yeah.
actor. God damn it! Oh, you people making Simon the Sorcerer 3. You better rehire Chris Berry. He's awesome.
Yeah.
Um, and that actor was what carried me throughout the entire Simon the Sorcerer game. And this is
Yeah.
exactly what we're talking about with voice acting. Can breathe life into a
Yeah.
game, especially a point and click adventure game. Because you're right, people do read books, but we're in an age of 2025, and it would absolutely would benefit the game itself to have voice acting because you're right. If reading it's one thing and you have a voice in your head, but when you have actors, not just myself, the other actors who I know did fantastic work. I listened to some of the I don't remember who got chosen off the top of my
Hmm.
head, but shout out to
Yeah.
my fellow cast. I love you guys. You did amazing. I
Yeah.
remember seeing some
Yeah.
of the YouTube stuff, and they're fucking
Yeah. They're
incredible.
crushing it.
Oh, they're great.
Absolutely.
And it does bring life into something. It does. It's different when you have something in your mind to then hearing it, and then you attach it to the character, and then that
Yeah.
character has an identity more than just a name and the pixel art representation of it. It becomes lived
Yeah.
in, and it's
Yeah. For sure.
I'm all for it, man. I mean, and just based on everything we've talked about today, it's completely changed my mind on what I thought Wildwood Down was going to be and what I'm looking at it, what it's going to be now. Because I didn't
Yeah.
know certain elements about this before, and I was finding out about it as we were talking, and I'm going, now, holy shit. This game is a lot more intense than I originally thought it was going to be. Because if you have the character Daniel being able to
Yeah.
actually orientate himself and move in a three-dimensional type area, and you talked about the Hall of Mirrors, it definitely
Yeah.
makes that Hall of Mirrors scene a lot different, and it makes even more sense why you had me voice things in a certain way outside of the like that. Oh, look,
That's
people don't
funny.
know this because none of you were in the voiceover session except for Micah and I, but it was on the script, and it was Moltar laughing, and it was and it read out AHHH space AHHHH space AHHHUUUUU. And I know when I sent those first batches of recordings, I can imagine Micah's face when he's going, no, that's not it. Like it just wasn't it.
Yeah, it ain't the feel.
But
Yeah.
it was one of those things where for people who play the game in the future, when you hear Maltar's laughter, please understand that that was something that Micah and I had a shitload of fun doing. I mean, it was really enjoyable to kind of figure out where Maltar's voice started from and then where it evolved into mid-recording session. I mean, this is just
Yeah.
behind the scenes stuff that people who play the game will be happy to hear about. And
Yeah, absolutely. So
I'm
funny,
just
dude. That was a
dude,
good time.
I'm just so blown away by the dedication. And I think if I have to go backwards a little bit, so Crashable Studios, you said it's been around since around what 2015, I believe. I think that's what you said
Yeah.
earlier.
Yeah.
What was your
Yeah.
first game?
So our first game is also a point and click adventure.
Aha!
It's yeah, and it's pixel art, 2D. It's this big like sci-fi fantasy world. And with that, so I'm a Christian. I believe in the Bible, but with this game, I was it's basically me sharing my worldview
That's
through
interesting.
um like like a sci-fi fantasy, and it's kind of like analogies and what is the word I'm trying to think of? It's kind of like Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, and like there's this old book like Pilgrim's Progress. It's like he uses all these analogies for kind of different topics in the world.
Of
It's me
course.
sharing my worldview through this sci-fi fantasy world,
All
and
right.
so that was our first game, and it was really fun making it. We did the voice acting with some friends and different people. I think that was a little bit like we should have hired people that were into voice acting. I wish we did. Some people did great, but half of them are kind of like just dead and flat, and they're not like
It's
into
your
it
first
like
game.
voice actors are. Yeah, exactly. So that game was cool, and we released it. It was great, and I love that we did it, and it's cool. And then we did our second game,
Mhm.
which was like we were like, let's just do a side scroller. Luke like carried the second game a lot. We just did this it's a pixel art
Mhm.
side scroller shooter game, and you just kind of run through. It's like AI took over the world. You're shooting through these robots, and you got to beat the levels. Simple. It ended up being on the phone and stuff.
What a
I don't know if we did
terrifying
on.
thought. AI
So.
taking over the world, and you got to
Yeah,
go shoot all
but
the
that was
AI to
that was
death.
kind of yeah, and we got into Unity on that, so that was like our entrance into using Unity and different things too.
I'm sorry to
So we
cut
made
you
that.
off.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to cut
Eh,
you off, but
yeah, go
speaking
ahead.
on game engines specifically, there is a ton of game engines out there. You have Unreal, you have Unity, among
Yeah.
others. What made you guys go to Unity specifically? Because this was a very conscientious decision you guys had to
Yeah.
make.
Absolutely. A lot of it was that the 2D stuff in Unity, at least, I mean, it always changes. At least when we started making this game,
Mhm.
Unity was a lot more supportive for 2D things, pixel art things. We liked the way the system worked. It was kind of like if we're making a full 3D game, I think we would have went into Unreal. And since we were going with those sprites and 2D elements, we chose Unity. We figured out how to do the 3D lighting, like I was saying, and stuff
Yeah.
pretty quickly. So it was kind of like, yeah, dude, we're like halfway there. Let's just like go for it. And
I
we
was
made the second game in Unity as well. So that was kind of like we already had this like ground in it
Oh, okay. I was
where it was
just
like we know how the objects and hierarchies work. We could script like certain stuff. So
I was just about to ask what the other games were made in because it sounds like
yeah,
it sounded like you guys had experience in Unity
yeah,
prior to. Was it
yeah.
difficult learning the Unity engine in order to get it to
Oh,
work for the 2.5 3D style game that you're making now?
Not too bad. I mean, I think we're pretty good at it. I mean, I just learn interfaces, man. It's it's like I have so many programs open and stuff. Like actually on the side, I do wedding videography to make money. So I film, and that's another part of like film and pulling focus and different things and
Yeah,
shots and cameras
yeah.
and lenses and editing. So that all goes into like this storytelling. It's like you edit a highlight reel for someone's wedding. It's like you're telling a story of their wedding.
Oh,
So I
absolutely.
have this like layers of that in me from doing it and thinking about it a lot. So, um,
So you took your experience from videography and basically you're being a DP too. You're being a director
yeah,
of
yeah,
what
exactly,
conscious
yeah,
choices you're making, and
yeah.
this comes from weddings and things like that. And
Yeah,
honestly,
just thinking of lighting and yeah,
yeah.
everything.
Oh, dude, lighting alone, just.
Yeah,
Oh my God, from theater lighting to wedding, even something. Some people, okay, people would not understand this if they didn't either pay a close attention or were involved in the industry of any so in any way. Lighting absolutely matters.
yeah,
And the
yeah. It's
weirdest part
crazy.
is sometimes you got to remove all the light to make the artificial lighting source to where shadows aren't being cast in the wrong areas. And
Yeah,
it
yeah. It's
makes all the
funny.
sense in the world why
Yeah,
you've mixed video game development and what you want to do there, and you've also kind of put in a different spin on cinematography for point and click adventure games that I don't think I've ever
right,
seen before. I'll be totally
right.
honest. I can't think of one point and click adventure game I've
Yeah,
ever
like the
played
classics.
that's ever done something like that, because you're talking about stuff that is more movie like in a way that's
Right,
going to be
right.
implemented in Wildwood Down. I mean, that alone is going to be awe inspiring to look at, because just to be able to see the decision making process and why something looked the way that it did, it just brings more depth and lived inness, if that's even a word, to
Yeah,
the Wildwood Down world. I mean, that to me
right.
makes it even more compelling, because the more we talk about this game, the more I go, this thing is going to be different from any point and click adventure game that I've ever played. I just hope that
Yeah,
my
that's like kind of what
brain,
we want it to be.
but no, that's what it sounds like. That's
Yeah,
genuinely
it's
what it
cool.
sounds like. I just hope my
Yeah,
brain is capable of doing the puzzles the way I think I'll be able to do them, because
yeah,
my
exactly.
point and click, I've played some point, and you have too. We both have played point and click adventure games where
Yeah,
the logic and how to solve the puzzles you would normally never figure out unless you go to GameFAQs.
yeah, exactly. That's what I think I was saying this when we were doing but
You
in the
were.
point and click world, adventure game like forums and people, they call it moon logic.
Yes, that's what
When
it
a point and
was.
click game, it's like this puzzle is just moon logic. It's like it could that item on that thing, no one would ever think of that. Like it doesn't have any like realm of purpose. It's just that's what works, and it works, and it does the thing. And so
Oh,
you're back to you were asking about the design of puzzles. I
yes.
test playing is super important. So I try to have different friends, different people, different family members play the game to see like where they get stuck, what doesn't make sense. I watch them play it, and it's kind of like, what are they thinking? Why are they thinking that? You know what I mean? What are they not getting? What are they not seeing? And so a lot you got to test play the stuff and tweak it and give them like I try to balance it, have little hints, little things to like like make that more obvious, make that less obvious, make because you want to land it somewhere in the sweet
Sweet
spot is
spot.
that
Ah,
someone's
sweet
like
spot.
they land where it's like you're like, I don't know what to do, and then you're like, I do know what to do, it's this, and then it works. And that's like what you're trying to give people, that feeling of like you're smart and you figured it out, but it wasn't handed to you, it's not spoon fed so much. So it's definitely like a balance. And then you add the layer of like as you go deeper in the game you get better at it, and you're like they're a little bit harder. So I'm always thinking about that. It's like where my mind lives, of just the psychology of like, do they understand it? Do they not? Does that make sense? Is that weird? Is that like whack? And I'm sure a couple of puzzles, different people, everyone thinks differently. So it's cool to
Of
see
course.
different people play it. Where you're like, this puzzle is super easy to her, and then this guy, like he has no idea. Like she literally walked through like it was like nothing. And then he's like, he just doesn't, it's not clicking. So it's interesting to see, and you try to like find that sweet spot where people can be like right on the edge of, you have to think to like figure it out, but it's not way outside of the realm of like like a purpose of the puzzle.
No, but I think that's really
Uh,
important
yeah,
because
yeah,
if you're gonna have to go, this speaks to why play testing is so important, especially in this stage of the game. Because you're absolutely right. You have to make sure that when the player is playing the game, when they solve a puzzle, they actually have a sense of accomplishment, and that it's not just,
right,
oh, okay, well, I knew
right,
because it was lit up in front of me like a path. You don't want that.
exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Oh, the sleepless nights you must have had. Jesus
Yeah,
God.
yeah. So there's a lot of elements. Yeah, it's I enjoy it though. I don't know. It's just fun to me.
I mean, I think that's
Just
the
doing
most
that, making
important
it.
thing.
Like it's just yeah.
Because I mean,
So
what you're talking about is passion for what you do, and I think this is in any field, no matter what type of thing you're doing, whether you're making a song, developing a game, making a movie. If you're not passionate about it, that's going to come across on the final product. And
yeah,
just to know that you and everybody else associated with Crashable Studios is this die hard and you guys really love what you're making.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
going to show
Absolutely,
through. It absolutely
it's
will.
great.
And I'm really intrigued to see what happens to Daniel because learning a little bit about Daniel as a person from our conversation today,
Yeah,
I'm going to feel a lot more attached to the Daniel character in Wildwood Down. I really am because now I'm
yeah,
going,
for sure.
okay, I don't want to fail now because I don't want to let my homeboy Dan down because he's a good
Yeah,
dude. And
that's great.
it's even crazier to find out that so much of this game was based off of real people, real things that happen in a place that actually exists. It just makes it feel so much more lived in. And I was
Yeah,
wondering initially, before we had this podcast and before this interview, and before I even had gotten the part, I was genuinely curious on, well, how much of this came from real life? Because some of this stuff feels like it came from life. Other parts of it were obviously creative choices, but it's just all of it. All of it feels, and I said this earlier, I'll repeat it again like a broken record. All of it feels very lived in. It feels
yeah,
real. It feels more real than what I would play if I was playing Loom, a point and click adventure game
yeah,
like Loom or The
yeah.
Dig.
Uh,
God forbid.
uh,
There's a game, right?
yeah,
The Dig is a good point and click adventure game. However, it is fucking confusing.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
really
That's some
confusing.
yeah. Like
And
some
see,
moon logic in there,
that it's a lot of moon logic, and that's something that I can point to
but
and
the
go,
story's cool. Yeah,
exactly. That's what motivated
yeah,
me to keep going forward. And I could see the challenges that you and the team at Crashable would be facing when you're trying to develop puzzles that
yeah,
don't fuck up the player so badly that they want to stop playing, but it's not so easy that they lose interest. And the
yeah,
story itself, having this murder mystery, and then Daniel has to go save his sister, and you have this array of genuinely colorful characters, and then there's weird stuff in there, and it's funny, and then it's kind of goofy, and it just it's like you guys found the right tone, that you didn't
yeah,
go too far into one direction or too far in the other. You said it
yeah.
earlier. It's like you guys hit the sweet spot.
It's cool.
I mean,
It's good.
how did this game come together as far as pace comparably to the other ones that you guys made in the past? I mean, when you guys got this idea, did you guys just kind of know and started developing, or was it a little more of a process in creation?
Good question. It's always a process,
Of
You
course, of
you
course.
start landing on different decisions and how we do it and what we do, and where it'll start, what the story will be, and then it's just like always considering like Daniel and what would he like be into, and some of the layers of the story. Like Daniel really has a sister, so like it was like he needs to do the lines in a way that he can understand. So it's like if his sister's missing, he can really connect to it because he really has a sister. So when he's saying the lines, he's imagining his real sister, like hands off my sister, and he's really saying it about his sister. So there's that layer of like we had to consider everything through like Daniel's viewpoint and like it making sense to him, which I think is like interesting. It was kind of cool to like go that route. Um, but yeah, like just like I was saying, at being at Wildwood, sitting there, it all just kind of started. It's like yeah, that. And then since my wife said that, like this seems like we're in a real life point and click adventure. My mind just starts like that could be in it, that could be in it, that kid hanging on the
Okay.
pipe could be in it. This, it all just right there. It starts going, and then me and Luke are messing around in Unity like this looks cool, pixel art, 3D, the lighting. This could be like we could really make this thing, and it would be sweet.
I like
So
that.
it all, slowly, different elements, but yeah, we were pretty certain about the Wildwood and Daniel. We fought with the name for a while, which was interesting. We didn't have
Really?
Wildwood Down as the name. Yeah, it was Twisted Murders at Wildwood
Ooh.
for a long
Ooh.
time, which
Ooh.
was cool.
That's
Twisted Murders
cool.
at Wildwood. Yeah. And because there's Twisted Tea, that's like, we have Twisted Tea. It's like at senior week, it's kind of like the sugary alcohol drink that
It's a
tastes
chick
like
drink.
sweet. It's like sweet tea, but
Yeah.
like high schoolers that don't really drink will like be like, yeah, this is the best, or like Twisted Tea. So that's a part in the game as well, that there's like this, we call it Twister's Tea, and Twister is like
I
a
love it.
guy.
I
Yeah.
love that. I love it.
So
I'm gonna go one further. Twisted
yeah,
teas. Okay. Everybody who grew up in a certain time period knows what twisted tea is. It is the bastard child of Mike's Hard Lemonades. Like that's what
right. Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
so I mean, dude,
Yeah.
I remember I remember when I was in high school, I was getting drunk at this chick's house who was far too old to be hanging out with teenagers. Suspicious lady. How
Uh-huh.
dare you?
Yeah.
And I remember that's what she bought us. And I'm going, just get us like Southern Comfort or like get us alcohol. And
Yeah.
she goes,
Uh-huh.
I don't think so. I think you guys need to have some Mike's Hard Lemonade. And I'm like, oh my God, get out of here. So I remember this. So I mean, just to know that there's a homage and a throwback to Twisted Tea in there is just
Yeah,
fantastic. I fucking love it.
exactly. Yeah, it's like a big thing. So that was part of the Twisted Murders at Wildwood. It was kind of a play on words with Twisted, but eventually we were just like, dude, we need to just boil it down. It's like it needs to be just hit and
I
be
get what you mean.
solid. So we finally, yeah, yeah. It's like Wildwood Down. You could just say it. It's easy. It's easy
It's
to
a
put it.
soundbite.
Yeah, yeah. And then you have Daniel, so Down syndrome, down. It's like that play on words thing.
Oh
And so it was
shit! I
just like
never
the
made that
layers.
connection till now, till you
Yeah,
just said it.
yeah.
That's
See,
awesome.
yeah,
That's amazing. Okay.
yeah. So that was like different layers to it.
What
That
was I
was
gonna?
funny though. It was Like it's literally in the game we had it like the text and the font, the intro, the whole game. It was like Twisted Murder at Wildwood.
That's amazing, man.
It's
That's
interesting to like
awesome.
change it. Yeah.
So when you guys were developing Wildwood Down, did you automatically know, or did you settle early on that it was going to be a murder mystery, or was that something that you guys had to have a conversation about? Because a murder mystery
Um.
is a very interesting choice.
Yeah. Great question. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how we landed on that. I don't remember. I feel like it just was like a good way to go.
Did
Just
it feel
it
just?
made it it made it serious,
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of like that. I like when a story the character has like a real motive, like you were saying, like
Of
Daniel wants to
course.
save his sister. It pulls you in, like you're rooting for Daniel, but he has a real thing he's fighting for. It's not just like this haphazard, just like doing stuff in a scene. It's like he's trying to really figure it out and like find his sister.
Absolutely.
So I've just always liked that where a story feels like there's more gravity to it. So I think a murder like at the beach and senior week, it just kind of all blended.
But I mean, it does.
Probably pretty early on. We chose that.
All these elements mixing together with Wildwood, New Jersey, and it being at this place where people are partying and having a good time. In real
Yeah.
life, murders do happen in those types of situations, and
Right.
yeah,
Right.
yeah, you got poor Daniel here going, "What the fuck? Where's my sister? What the hell's going on?"
Yeah.
And it is a very serious thing. But then
Yeah,
he's gonna go over to the Maltar animatronic, and the guy's gonna be talking about diapers. I mean, there's this.
exactly.
I'll be so
Exactly.
dedicated to find my sister, to find Daniel's sister,
Yeah.
but I'll sit there.
Diet first.
Yes, but I'll sit there and I'll be putting quarters into the goddamn Maltar machine just to see what wisecracking nonsense he says. I mean, that's just, and not just myself. I
Exactly.
imagine gamers will do that because, dude,
Yeah,
anybody who plays video games, especially point and click players,
exactly. Point
we
and click.
like
Exactly. I was gonna
we
say.
like to explore all those options.
Sounds
And
like a
if we've
point and
played,
click to me.
yeah, and if we've
Yeah.
played a game before, we want to know what other stuff is in there, because after you've
Yeah, you
beaten
could
it,
have.
you know the
Yeah.
story, and then you just want to hear the
Right.
additional dialogue, because if you like
Yeah.
something,
Different silly stuff. Yeah.
yeah, you kind of hyper
Yep.
focus on it a little bit, and it's one of those things
Yep.
where it just brings more life to it. It brings a lot more enjoyment to it. It's like, it's just something that I'll say again. It's one of those games that just give me the feeling of fun. It's a throwback. It's retro in the best way possible, and it's enjoyable. It's very much the type of game where you can't turn your brain off, because if you do, you'll never solve the puzzles. But that's
Yeah.
kind of the beauty of it. It's the fact that Wildwood Down is asking you to be engaged in this story because, one,
Yeah.
the writing's good. The writing is good, so that keeps me engaged in it anyways. But, and I'm talking about the dialogue that I do know about, not the dialogue I don't know
Yeah.
about.
Yeah. All your
But
lines. Yeah.
even in the character descriptions, even in those, I could tell that this was well thought out. You guys took a lot. You guys, it looked like you guys were very meticulous on why certain
Yeah.
things were said a certain way, why certain characters had to behave a certain way. I mean, everybody feels very fleshed out in this game.
Yeah.
And that's only going to be even better with when you hear the voice actors portray the lines and the game is coded and the game's finished. Now, when you said there was, correct me if I'm wrong, I could be wrong about this, but you did say there was a demo out, or there's a demo going to be out
Yeah.
for the public soon.
Yeah. You can play the demo on Steam right now. It's out. So that there is a demo on Steam. Which also there's a cool at the beginning of the demo when you hit start a new game, there's a real life video that plays of Daniel.
Oh,
And
fuck
he's
yeah.
kind of it starts where he's telling you the story. So it starts this like Daniel's like, and we actually went and filmed Daniel at Wildwood. So the video, my cinematography experience of making wedding videos
Wait a minute.
goes
Really?
into play with this. Yeah, so Daniel's sitting underneath the boardwalk at Wildwood, and he's asleep, and it plays out this whole part. But he kind of tells you as the player, like, this is the story that happened to him at Wildwood, and that he's a local hero, and like this is why. And then he like starts, and then the game starts, and you start playing, so you get a feel for who he is, just so you know what I mean.
Yeah, man.
It
That
just
was
gives
an
it this,
excellent
yeah.
choice. That was an
Yeah,
excellent
so
choice.
it was cool. Someone messaged me about that recently, like a day or two ago, and I thought it was cool. But he was like, he was like, I love that you didn't make it like it wasn't me and Luke in the game. Like, hey, we're the makers of a Wildwood Down. This game is about our friend who has Down syndrome, and here it is, and here he is, and here it goes. It just starts, and it's like Daniel just being himself. It doesn't like explain all that and make it this thing like super like the game's about him having Down syndrome in this certain weird like way where you're hyper focused. It's like, no, Daniel's an awesome guy. He's an amazing like person, and here's him going through this experience of the story in the game, and you're playing through it with him. And so it's like this kind of like, here's Dan just being Dan, and
That
he's
shit
going to
got
tell you the
beautiful,
story of
man.
what happened. Yeah.
That's pretty beautiful,
Yeah.
all
So
things
yeah,
considered.
so I thought, I was like, yeah, that's cool. Yeah.
Because I could see people in, not I'm not I can't think of any developers off the top of my head, but I could imagine there would be different studios who might go on that approach that you just talked about of, hi, I'm so and so, this is so and we made this game about our friend who has Down syndrome. You didn't go that route
Yeah.
at all. You did
Right.
the most what is it called? You went full force in cinematography and went, no, we're going to film Daniel at Wildwood, the actual location, and tie it into the game itself.
Yeah.
That is movie shit. That is 100% what you did. I mean,
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
feels like, I know it's an intro video, but that's a great way to bring the viewer, which is also going to be the player, into the game itself. I mean, then you have
Yeah.
a real understanding that everybody knows from the beginning that Daniel's a real guy. This is a real
Yeah.
person. And this is a
Right.
story about our friend. I mean, it's just poetry in motion, man. If I didn't
Yeah.
love the game
That's
before, I love
cool.
it even
Yeah.
more now. It's fucking
Yeah. Yeah.
incredible,
It's
man.
good. Yeah.
Now,
It's
I
fun.
do have to ask you, when is a prospective release date for this game, if you have one?
Yeah. So definitely 2025, but we're talking to a publisher. I'm not going to say who and different
Oh, of
details and
course, of
stuff because it
course.
depends if we work with them or not.
Mm-hmm.
But spring, we'll release it in spring unless we work with this publisher and they want to move it to summer. That's kind of where it's sitting right now.
Okay, okay.
So
So,
spring or summer.
so if you
Probably
can,
early summer if we do push it back. So
okay,
that's
okay.
where it's
So,
sitting.
so I will be able to play it this year. Fuck yeah. So,
Yeah, for
I guess
sure.
my natural next question that I can lead into is we hear and gamers read about stuff that publishers do to development studios and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
And sometimes it's really bad. Other times there's great relationships with developer and
Yeah.
publisher. What
Right.
gave you guys the decision to discuss the potential? It's a potential of releasing this game with a publisher rather than self-publishing it. Because I mean, dude, people release games all the time without a publisher. You guys have. I mean,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
what
Yeah.
kind of gave you that decision to enter a negotiation with the prospective publishers or publisher?
Yeah, so I mean it definitely goes both ways and you don't want to like get ripped off and have someone just drop your game and then take like 30%, 40% of your
Exactly.
game, you know. It's like, dude, I just worked like, 2 years on this thing and then they just like get posted on Steam and now they get 40%, you know.
Yeah, man.
So so sure, there's a lot of publishers out there that do that, and they even like kind of like stalk you. And I get emails all day from like random publishers that are like, we like do this and that, and all these promises and things. And then you're just like, okay, yeah, I'm not like talking to you. Like you're just trying to like drop my game and make money off of like hundreds of games you release. This publisher, I feel, is more like a real one, and they
Hmm.
only release like 6 games a year, and so they care about the games and they like release the games, and it's like the reason they will push the game back to summer is because they have another game coming out in
Hmm.
like March. And so I just even just that purposing, it's like they care about it. They're not just like, yeah, just drop games everywhere. Everywhere you put them, just do it. They're like, we want to bring this out so it does well, and we want to like bring yours out
Right.
away from that one so that we have the time and it can like be the game we're releasing. So that's one element. Another element is just that the guy is cool and I met him and talked to him and it's like a real person. It's not just like you know he also makes games. So,
But that's a big
um,
thing. I mean, I would
yeah. So it's
imagine.
like, yeah. So there's layers to it of why,
I mean,
but
Wildwood Down
yeah,
is is quote unquote it's your baby, man.
yeah,
It's something
yeah,
you and the
for
rest of your team
sure.
have put 2 years in of
Yeah,
work into this project, and it's something you guys really care about, and it makes all the sense in the world why, if you're going to attach yourself to a publisher, it would have to be one that will care. Well, no one's going to care about it as much as you, but who genuinely
yeah,
cares about it being successful. They care about the
yeah,
game, they like
exactly.
the game, they're motivated, they
Right.
want it to
Yeah,
succeed.
exactly. And
It's a big deal.
this like publisher was like they want to play the game. They want to like see it all the way through different things. Exactly that. It's not just the dude literally wants to play through the game and like know what it is and have an insight and understand
That's
and like
important.
so yeah. So
That's important.
it's
When
like
you
you're
got the
saying.
Yeah,
It's
when you
kind of
got
like
the publisher who's going to talk to you and go, "No, no, 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 no. I want to play the game. I want to see what's up with it. I like the
yeah,
concept. I
yeah,
like the
exactly,
idea."
exactly. It's not just like this, like, send us your game, we'll release it on
Uh,
Steam. Yeah, it's just like, dude. It's like, but yeah, so yeah, I think that's the main thing. And
no, it
then
makes
just
sense
the
though. It
Yeah.
makes total sense on why you would be somewhat protective of something you
Yeah.
guys at Crashable have put so much work in, because
Yeah, for sure.
everything that we've talked about the game today, everything that I read and I learned about the game beforehand was something that I knew it was not only a love letter to games of point and click adventures past, but now to find out that Daniel is a real person and he's a good dude. He's a character in himself. It makes all the sense in the world why Daniel has to voice him. And
Yeah.
and to know that now that there's a live action sequence of Daniel himself in Wildwood, New Jersey, and it gets tied into the game, into the demo, and I'm going, yeah, absolutely. This is something that I encourage everybody to go check out. Everybody
Yeah.
to go play this fucking demo. And it's on Steam. Um Obviously for the PC.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't Now, would you guys release it on a console?
Yes. So we want to for sure. If we
Okay.
can, we will, and we are designing it that we can. So we have that in mind. It works on a controller. We've
I was
like
just
worked
about to
did
ask
a
that.
lot of we did a lot of like coding and things to get it like the best way we can on a controller that it feels fluid. You can move the character point and clicks. So you always want a mouse, so we kind of designed our own system for that you can use a controller and it still works really well and plays well. There's like some of it I feel like it's like I like it better on a controller now
Oh,
from doing
really?
this. And yeah, because it's like has the 3D space. So there's something cool about walking Dan around with the left thumbstick that feels cool because the camera follows him. You can go in and
Oh, I
out and
do kind
around.
of
It's like
like
you're walking
that.
him around. It just feels cool. And then
Yeah.
yeah, so yeah, we definitely want to release it like Xbox, PlayStation, Switch.
Ooh, all right.
So
Console
yeah,
jockeys, get your thumbs
yeah,
ready.
yeah,
Wildwood Down's gonna
exactly.
be melting your fucking brains. Hell yeah, man. I
The other
love it.
reason to go with that is like also the Steam Deck is
Yes.
in mind that
What's
it's
it
a
called? The
super cool game for
OLEG?
people with the Steam. Yeah, OLED Steam Deck.
Something
Yeah,
like that. Is it OLEG
yeah,
or OLED? I keep forgetting.
OLED. It's the
OLED, yeah.
that's like the higher end Steam Deck. It has
Hmm.
like an OLED screen.
Oh, that's
Is
right.
the
That's right. That's
Yeah,
right.
so that's like their better version or whatever. It's like the plus.
Yeah, but
But
still, I mean, it makes sense
yeah,
that you
Steam
guys
Deck
would
is
do
in
that.
mind. Yeah, because you want the controller like the Steam Deck to
Yeah.
work and be smooth and be fun and
Yeah.
like because it's a cool game to have. Like you could, I imagine someone on an airplane playing it while they're flying
I
somewhere.
was
It's
just
like,
thinking that.
yeah,
Somebody's in a car trip and they're going, oh, dude, how cool would this be? Somebody's in a road trip to Wildwood, New Jersey, and they're playing Wildwood Down on the
exactly.
OLED while they're traveling there. They would be
Yeah,
super invested.
yeah, that's great.
One last
Uh,
question, because I was gonna wrap it up, but one last question
yeah,
just
for
hit my
sure.
mind. How difficult was it developing Wildwood Down for a controller, for using it with the controller? Was there any unique challenge that you faced while developing it? Because mouse and keyboard is just mouse and keyboard. We all know how to use
Yeah,
those. But a
yeah,
controller, that's a different level of, I guess, finickiness that a controller
yeah,
has versus a mouse, because you got
yeah,
to get things
absolutely,
right.
dude. I was losing my mind.
Oh God, it sounds like a nightmare.
That's playing it, trying it, it's working, it's not. If you double tap it, it does it, and then
Oh,
it's like, oh my god. And then like I kind of went through three different systems of like because you can
three.
get plugins and things that work in Unity, and I was like this one, but then it doesn't do that. And I tried for days with that, and then I was like, I need to switch over to like the new input system that Unity released. So I switched it all over, and now it's all totally different. I had to like reset my whole thing. And that's like, oh my god. But it was worth it because it's running smooth and it's cool and it's fun to play on a controller. So it's like we got to get this right, and have it feel good. It's just one of them things.
I'm really
And
happy to hear that.
being a gamer myself, I like when things are fluid and fast and make sense. I hate when things are like it doesn't. It's like
Clunky.
why do I have to press four things to just pull an item out of my like inventory and stuff? So it's just how I want to be able to double tap and fast travel to the door,
Thank
like all
you,
different stuff. You know what I mean?
Micah. Thank
I'm
you
just it's
so
like I'm trying to
much.
figure the puzzle out. I'm not just like so that's
Oh,
just
I
you gotta like
appreciate
get it
you
right.
even more as a game dev right now, because I'm going, yes, Thank you. There are some game devs out there who still understand that a certain level of streamlining is kind of necessary, and you didn't just throw it together and give poor Daniel tank controls to where he's running
Yeah,
around and he's looking like a
exactly. Yeah,
fucking block. Oh, God. Daniel
yeah,
will appreciate
exactly.
that. So will I.
Yeah, exactly.
Micah, I
So yeah,
appreciate you. I really do for all your time. Where can
yeah,
people find Wildwood Down on social media
yeah.
outside of the Steam page?
So wildwooddown.com is
Beautiful.
probably the best thing to
There
go
you
to. We
go.
have a press kit on there with like photos, trailers, stuff. It has the trailer. You can sign up for our email list on there,
Excellent.
which will keep you in the loop. But other than that, is we have a Discord, which you can find links for that around places. I don't know how that works. Maybe I don't. Yeah, wildwooddown.com. There's a
Yep.
Discord link there. So Discord's cool. That's where we live. If you want to come talk to us and hang out and see the progress, we post things on there and kind of just talk with like voice actors and
Of
fans of the
course.
game and different people. So I like the Discord. I think it's fun just to be have the like connection, the inside loop of just like it feels like everyone's part of it, you know. So I would definitely, if you're listening to this, come hang out with us on Discord. It's
Oh,
a good
hell yeah.
time.
I was I
Yeah.
was I was pretending that I didn't know any of this stuff existed,
Yeah.
everybody. I knew.
Like
I knew.
yeah. So I posted Daniel like saying Merry Christmas to everyone on there and
Oh,
stuff.
that's
It's just stuff like
awesome.
that. It's like inside.
That's
Yeah, where it's
awesome.
like, you know. But yeah, man, thanks for having me. Thanks for
Of
being the voice
course.
actor for Moltar. You crushed it
Oh, of
and like
course, man. I
honored to be
appreciate it.
on here with you and
Oh no,
thanks for inviting me and thinking
I knew.
I'm important enough to be on your thing. Yeah, it's
Dude,
like I
look,
appreciate it, man.
I want you to know something that even if I wasn't working on this project, I would have extended the invitation anyway. And it was really mainly because I just auditioning for it. Even if I didn't get the part, I became a fan of the project. I became a fan of the game while I was auditioning for it. Real quick story before I let you go and get back to life and all this kind of stuff. I'm sorry, wife.
Yep.
Don't beat me.
Go ahead.
I was auditioning, and initially, obviously, like all actors, you're just looking for a job because you don't want to be on the breadline. Being unemployed sucks. But as I read more of the character descriptions, as I kept going back and kept putting in auditions and reading more about it, that's when I started making the connections that this isn't just some random point and click that I'm auditioning for. This is a game that I really want to be a part of. I believe in this game. I want it to be successful. I'm going to get it no matter what. I want to play it. I genuinely do. I think this is going to be a hell of an experience. I think it's going to be fun. I like the concept of this murder mystery and trying to figure out what happens with Daniel and his sister, what happens to good old Maltar and all the other characters that I'm not going to say anything about. I'm just really invested in this project. And that would be even if I wasn't attached to it. So I want you to know that me having you on here today was not just because I'm on the project. It's because I believe in it, because I like
Yeah.
it, and I'm already a
Oh,
fan. So
it's
it's been
great
a
to hear.
privilege to have you here.
Yeah.
Micah, it's been a privilege to have you here, and I really appreciate it. I really do appreciate your time. But
Yeah. Thanks, man.
of course, man. But I'm gonna release our man Micah back to the wild from Crashable Studios on who's developing Wildwood Down. Everybody, that has been the episode with Phrasing with Jay. Now, go download the demo to Wildwood Down and tell me about it because that's what I'm gonna go do. All right. Bye, everybody.
Peace. Cheers, everyone.